week's live, and today I'm talking about a mineral that is absolutely critical for menopause health. Well, it's critical for hormonal health, and I think that that's the key thing, is that this mineral is so important for hormone health, and yet so many of us are lacking it. It's quite a tricky mineral to work with. It's quite a tricky mineral to get enough of in your diet, hence why so many people are lacking it. But there's also other reasons which I'll come on to. But the mineral that I'm talking about, which is so important, is iodine. Now, some of you will know that iodine is really important for thyroid health, and I'll talk about why that is. But it is a mineral that affects not just our thyroid but also our reproductive hormones, and that's why it makes such a difference when it comes to menopause, but also fertility and any time of our lives. So one thing I will say about iodine is it is one that nobody should be supplementing themselves on their own. Most minerals you can get hold of them easily, you can use them. I don't agree with it. If you've followed me for a while, you'll know why. We should be balancing our minerals correctly according to what our body needs. We can cause all sorts of imbalances and problems if we just randomly take vitamins and minerals without knowing that we need them. But iodine is one that you really shouldn't be taking unless you are working with somebody, because it is a very powerful mineral. You can get food forms of iodine in terms of supplements, which are a little safer, but again, you want to be careful with them. But you can get iodine through food sources if you eat the right foods and enough of them, and I'll talk about those. The problem is most people don't like those foods. I certainly don't. And so I was definitely massively lacking iodine. Hormone receptors. So for hormones to work in the body, they have to latch onto something called receptors. And iodine actually increases the sensitivity, not just of iodine receptors, but of other hormone receptors as well. So, for example, iodine affects insulin receptors, and it improves your ability to metabolize glucose. So if you've got issues with your blood sugar, which most of us do, let me tell you, I have very few clients come to me and they don't have problems with their blood sugar, then improving iodine status can actually help with balancing blood sugar, along with a whole host of other things. It's not the only thing that we need to do. So what is iodine? Let's talk about that first. So iodine, it's a halogen. It's part of the halogen family, which includes chlorine, fluorine, and bromine. And iodine is by far the most supportive of the halogens. It's a mineral that's essential to our bodies functioning well. The others are not. And it's needed by every cell in the body, particularly high in the thyroid. The thyroid hormones, known as T4 and T3, there are others, but T4 and T3 are the main hormones that we know of that impact our energy, mood and metabolism. They are actually formed in part from iodine. So T4 means 4 iodine molecules, T3 means 3 iodine molecules. And in order to get from T4 to T3, you drop an iodine molecule. I'm not going to go into any more of the science than that, but that's basically what it means. And as I said, it influences hormone receptors. It's responsible also for maintaining the health of our glands, specifically our thyroid, our ovaries, but also our uterus, our breast, and for men, their prostate. So when there's an iodine deficiency present, we can get cystic or fluid-filled tissue that can form and lead to nodules and sometimes cancerous growths as well. And in the breasts, this is really important. Iodine has been shown to have antioxidant properties, meaning it helps protect from DNA damage, which might be in part something that explains why diets containing decent amounts of iodine are associated with a lower risk of breast cancer. Iodine's known to promote the development of normal breast tissue and to protect against the formation of abnormal cells. There's always been interest in the fact that in Japan they have a lot lower levels, or they always used to have a lot lower levels of breast cancer than the rest of the world. And in Japan they eat a huge amount of seafood that contains high levels of iodine. So, you know, is there something in that? I think there really probably is. I have seen iodine improve people's blood sugar levels. I've seen it help them get off thyroid medication. I've actually helped numerous clients to come off their thyroid medication with their doctor's approval, because they no longer need it with their when they are producing enough thyroid hormone, and also lower their dose. If they can't come off it completely, we've been able to lower the dose, and that means that the thyroid is working better, or the thyroid system is working better. And I've seen it improve cystic breasts, i.e. cysts disappear. I, for one, am somebody who can say that I used to suffer with cystic breasts, and since balancing my minerals and bringing iodine into the picture, I no longer have any problems in that area. And I did right up until the point that I started using it. So I'm not postmenopause, and I've always struggled with cystic breasts, and that has now gone. It's resolved. Okay, so we've talked about what iodine is, how it works. Let's talk about some common reasons for deficiency. So, first of all, as I've already said, the modern diet lacks iodine-rich foods. I'll come on to which those foods are, but most of us are not eating the foods that are rich in iodine. There's also environmental factors. So, as I said, iodine will compete with other halogens like chlorine and fluorine or fluoride. And so because there's so much chlorine in our water, and we swim in it, and, you know, we wash our hair with it and we drink it, etc., that has a big impact on our iodine, which is why, part of the reason why I tell people to filter their water properly. If you use a Brita filter or a fridge filter, you are not getting rid of all the chlorine. In some parts of the UK, that you can actually, there is a website that you can look on to see whether your water board is putting fluoride into the water. They started doing it again in the UK not that long ago. Not all of them do it. I've checked. Surrey, where I live, they don't do it, or Thames Water rather, but I know at some parts of the country, in the Midlands, for example, they are definitely doing it, and some of the northern counties as well. So check that, but, you know, you should be filtering your water properly anyway. It's just, we can't trust the water that the water board sends through our taps anymore, unfortunately. And menopause itself increases the body's need for balanced hormones, where iodine plays a role. So when we're going through menopause, we need that hormone balance, and without iodine present, the hormone receptors aren't as sensitive, and it can have an impact. Add to that, estrogen or excess estrogen can actually block the uptake of iodine. And so women who are estrogen dominant, or taking the pill with estrogen in it, even though it's not real estrogen, it's synthetic, but the body still recognises it as estrogen on the receptors, and HRT. All of these things can block iodine uptake and lead to a deficiency. And it's at a time when the body just needs it most. So, you know, it is a big problem, and I see it over and over again, which is why I wanted to talk about it today. I know it's like, you know, it's a bit sciencey, and some of the stuff I talk about is hard to understand, but fundamentally, most people are lacking iodine, men and women, and actually the impact of iodine on men who have got prostate issues is huge as well. I am actually thinking about starting to work with men in menopause, so basically men over 40, because it's a huge problem, and the mineral testing that I do works for men and women. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter what age you are or anything else. So I am looking probably at starting to work with men as well, because they need it, and there aren't enough. There's plenty of people working with women, although not doing what I do specifically, but there are very few working with men. Anyway, I digress. So what are the signs that you need to look out for an iodine deficiency? Well, if it's extreme, and the problem is a lot of these symptoms are very similar to other causes, but fatigue is one. If you've got thyroid issues, that's definitely one to consider. Weak immune system and fibrocystic breasts. If you have lumpy breasts, then you have to look at your iodine status. And, as I said, it affects our reproductive organs when we don't have enough iodine. It contributes to cysts. It is potentially contributes to fibroids, and even causes fertility issues, which is why mineral balancing, if you are trying to get pregnant, is very, very important. Obviously, my market is at the not trying to get pregnant, generally speaking, although I do have a few clients who are in the early stages of perimenopause and have wanted to get pregnant and have managed to get pregnant by mineral balancing. So, it does work, but I know for most of us, that's not really the priority. The priority is to get rid of all of our symptoms. So which foods are high in iodine? Which ones are rich in iodine? As I said at the beginning, it tends to be foods that people don't want to eat. Foods like seaweed and certain seafood, but seaweed in particular. If you in the supermarket, you can get seaweed thins. Some people love them. I think they are the devil's food and I cannot eat them. I wish I could, but I can't. But those are very good sources of iodine if you can tolerate them. Some fish, seafood, tends to be higher in iodine. Dairy is also high in iodine, especially organic dairy. But a lot of people cut dairy out because they can't tolerate it because of issues with their immune system and gut health. But actually dairy is quite a good source. And then there's iodized salt. That's not a great form of iodine. That's not one I would be relying on to get your iodine into your diet. But there are foods that you can increase. If you've got an iodine deficiency, it tends to be if it's causing problems, it tends to be quite severe, and to get it through foods is really difficult because you've really got to increase the amount of iodine you have over a short period of time to get the levels up. Now, as I said, cautions around supplementing iodine. I don't recommend anybody goes out and buys iodine supplementation. You just really need to know what you're doing, because you can actually mess up and cause problems with your thyroid if you do it wrong. One thing that does happen when I work with clients and they start to use iodine is that if they happen to have a thyroid test with their GP at the same time, their TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, can go through the roof, and that can really confuse doctors because they're not trained in this, and so it's best to be you need to be working with somebody. But it's very normal for the TSH to go temporarily very high. I see it a lot. It happened with me, and then it starts to settle as the body as the thyroid starts to acclimatize to the new levels of iodine in the body. So that's just something to bear in mind. Too much iodine, or taking it without the essential cofactors, there are certain minerals that we need to have in healthy levels, like selenium, for example, could really lead to problems, as I said. So please don't listen to this and then go out and buy yourself iodine, because I am not suggesting that is a good idea. I just want you to understand the importance of it. And if you want to increase it in your diet, then all the better. When I am working with people with, and I suspect iodine deficiencies, I can see it on a mineral test. We can't test for iodine with the same test, but there are other tests you can run. But to be honest, there are enough markers or indicators of low iodine on the mineral test that I run that will tell me whether somebody has low iodine and needs to supplement it. And that for me is enough. But if I'm going to supplement iodine, I do need to see somebody's thyroid blood test, because I need to check that they have not got very high thyroid antibodies, because iodine supplementation can make those worse. So if you've got Hashimoto's, you can supplement it, but you need, again, to be working with somebody who understands how this works. But you know, having the right levels of iodine can really improve your hormone balance, improve energy, immune systems improves, and it can, as I said, even reduce the risk of breast health issues. You know, so as I said, with thyroid, I've had clients who have come off their thyroid medication by supplementing iodine, and doing other things as well, of course, which is not just one thing. It's never just one thing. So I hope that was helpful. That is, to recap, iodine's very important. It competes with other members of the halogen family, so we don't get enough of it in our diet as well, which is why there is a bit of a endemic of people who just don't have enough iodine, and we should really be looking at that. If you are interested in finding out about the mineral testing that I run with clients, either through my 6-month program, Revitalise Your Menopause, which is where we do a whole body everything, or my mineral balance formula, which is a mineral balancing package where we just focus on minerals and blood sugar balance, then reach out to me, just comment or send me a direct message, or you can email me, support@vvital.com, which is VEEVITAL.com, and I will send you some info. And also, just to say, my live masterclass, the one I run every couple of months, is happening on Thursday, the 21st of November. So I will be sending out details and on email and on social media in the next week or so, for you to be able to register for that. And I'll talk about iodine more, I'll talk about all the different minerals more, and basically the pillars of menopause health. For those who are struggling with fatigue, loss of motivation, low moods, those kinds of symptoms, it's really, really good for you. All right, I will leave it there. Have a great day. If you've got questions, do ask, and please do give this video a like if you have found it helpful, because it really helps to tell Instagram and Facebook that it's liked, and then they'll show it to more people. All right, have a great day. Take care. Bye for now.